Good morning, everybody. It's our first show of the new year, so I'm excited. Everybody's just filing in, so we'll go ahead and get started in about 2 minutes. I'm really excited about today's show, and so grab a cup of coffee or tea like Tom and I, and we'll get started in about 2 minutes. I did the whole Lucy cup. Actually, Tracy DeWitt gave me this cup last Christmas. So. Big Lucy. I love Lucy. Yes, big Lucy.
I have plain white bone china.
Look at that. Very nice. I swear tea does taste better out of bone china. I don't know why it is, but it truly does. So when I was in England, I did some hiking up in Norway and through England last year. And it's funny because that's all you get over there. And you know, here we have the big stone mugs and everything. So
yeah.
All right. Yes, that was a lot of fun. Hiking through the fjords of Norway probably was one of the most exciting things I've ever done in my life. So it was really cool. All right, we've got quite a few people. Kim says, good morning. You're looking good, Tom. It's always nice when you get that right out of the gate.
Give me your last name.
Fagali? It is.
Kim Fagali, how are you? And we can't hear you, so I know you're doing well.
She says she's doing excellent. Good morning, Al. Kim says that life is going good. So, all right, so we're going to get started. We got a lot of people rolling in. We got another 20 or 30 people logging in right now. So I want to give you a little bit of housekeeping. If you are new to the show, if you haven't joined us before, we're really honored to have Tom Lipinski on our show today. He is, I can't say enough about all the hard work he's put into this presentation today. He's an associate broker, a fantastic team leader, has been a realtor for 29 years. You started when you were 2, right, Tom? That's why you look so good.
Well, I think it was 6.
And so he's going to be sharing some great coaching. He not only is a life coach, but he's a real estate coach, and he's going to share some. I've already just this morning learned so much in going over what he's going to be covering today. So I'm really excited about that. If you're new, if you haven't joined us before, there is in your GoToWebinar panel, there is a questions box. So Tom wants to take your questions. So feel free to type out any questions that you have as we're going through. We're going to go at a pretty good clip today. So if you do have questions or you need to hear something again, it's a good time to ask the expert. So feel free to open up your GoToWebinar panel, type in your questions. I want to introduce a little bit of our staff too. One, I have to say I'm very excited because Taylor, who is generally my co-host, and many of you know she just had the cutest little baby boy. So she is back with us. She's returning from her maternity leave, and I'm so excited to have you back.
Hey.
Good morning.
Oh, I was muted.
Good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning. Thought I'd pop on and say hi for a few minutes, and I'll be kind of monitoring questions for a little bit. And Colleen, you can lead this one since it's my first day back.
Yeah, nothing like your first day back and we say, hey, by the way, could you be on, in like 4 minutes, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to be back.
That's awesome. And I have to tell you, I'm loving all of your Facebook pictures. That baby Dean just gets cuter every day, and I can't believe in just a couple of months how big he's gotten. He looks like
I know he was a little guy when he was born, and he's chunked up quite a bit.
It's awesome. Well, we missed you, and we're really happy that you're back.
All right, thank you. I'm excited to be back. Hi, Tom. How have you been?
I'm doing well, thank you. How old's the little one?
4 months.
Okay.
Almost 4 months.
Almost. Wow.
Yep. Yeah, he's holding his head up and he's giggling a little bit and squealing. So the personality is coming through, which makes it a little more fun now.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And I'm loving watching Scarlett as a big sister.
She's got enough personality for the whole household. So.
It's a lot of fun. Well, thanks again for being on the
Yeah.
show, Tam. It's going to be nice to have you back. And
Yeah, I'm excited.
and then I also want. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm excited to do future ones again with you guys and discuss what we can bring for 2021.
I am excited as well. So, and then I also want to introduce Debbie Fajardo. She's our Director of Education, and she's going to be helping man questions today too. So again, we encourage you, this is your one chance to ask the expert. Somebody who's been doing it 29 years, an associate broker, and a successful team leader, always at the top of the industry board. So, and he's already earned amazing accolades in his coaching. He not only is a life coach, but a real estate coach, and he's going to be giving you some great tips today. So again, even this morning, I learned a ton from Tom. So don't be afraid to go ahead and throw your questions in there. I do want to start off real quick. I just want to show you a couple things. We've got some really exciting things coming up. And first, MiRealSource is celebrating its 100th year anniversary. So MiRealSource has been around 100 years. I didn't know that until, I have to be honest, till I think about a year ago. And so we're going to be doing fun stuff every month. We're going to be doing scavenger hunts, giveaways, prizes. Every month we're going to have a different type of contest. And I know Taylor doesn't even know, but she's going to be working on a lot of that. I think we're getting started. And so a lot of fun things going to happen there. And then I also want to quickly just show you some of the new things that we've got going on before I kick it over to Tom. So I'm going to quickly just show my screen here. So as I mentioned, MiRealSource is turning 100 years old. So that's obviously a huge thing that we want to celebrate. And Taylor, are you able to see my PowerPoint there? Are you able to see that? Tom, are you able to see my PowerPoint?
I keep muting myself, sorry. Trying to mute any like crying or screaming in the background right now. So. But yeah, good. I can see it. It looks really good.
Good. So just awesome. Yeah, so they were all about the dots. So as we mentioned at the close of last year, we now, out of the 34,000 realtors, we now have over 30,000 of them in the data share. We're at 97% of the state, which is really exciting, but we've also got some new news. We now have a lot of exclusive data shares. And what that means is a lot of these have exclusive contracts with MiRealSource to share data. And that means by being a MiRealSource member, you're going to get more data than anywhere else in the state. You can see we've recently signed a contract with the Upper Peninsula Association of Realtors. Claire Gladwin, March 1st, will be in your system. So you'll be able to see the Claire Gladwin information. We've brought on the Northern Great Lakes Realtors, Bay County, and Mishrick. These are all exclusive to MiRealSource that you get as a MiRealSource benefit. So again, more data than you can see anywhere else in the state, and we're pretty excited about that. Another new thing that we have coming out is we have a new stats show. Kyle Alfred has done a great job of taking a lot of what's going on in the industry, a lot of the stats and information that you need to know, and he's going to be doing a monthly stats show. And so watch for that at the end of the month. That will be coming out, and we'll kind of give you just a snapshot of what's going on every month in the industry. So with that, I am going to turn presenter over to someone who's a much better presenter than me. I'm going to turn it over to Tom, and I think most people know Tom in the industry. He's been around a long time. Not to make you sound old, Tom, because you're definitely not looking good today, but he's been around a long time, 29 years of doing this, a wildly successful team leader. It's amazing. He was telling me a little bit about how he every day meets with his team. They do things like, scripts and role playing. And I actually got to be on one of his calls recently, and it was really fascinating. So he's a very successful life coach, very successful real estate coach. Matter of fact, he used to be on the MAPS coaching program, which is a really hard thing to get into. It's you have to go through testing, and you have to go through all of these jumps through all these different hoops, if you will. So I'm going to turn it over to him, and he's going to share some really great insights on a bunch of different topics, but I'm going to turn this over to you right now, Tom. It should ask you if you want to be the presenter, and then we're going to be able to see your screen.
And how's that right now? Can you see it?
That looks fantastic.
All right. What do I got to do to hide you guys here so I can see it?
You can take those. Yep, got those little lines.
And then do we need to tell everyone how to pull those 3 lines up so that they can see it if it's too small for them?
Absolutely. So if you're new to GoToWebinar, there on your screen, you should see Tom's PowerPoint. But if you want to minimize those cameras, I'm going to turn mine off in just a moment, so you're only going to be seeing Tom. But there are 3 small lines on your screen below your webcams. You can actually grab those and make your screen larger or smaller. You probably want to make us smaller so that you can really focus in on Tom's PowerPoint, because he's going to share a lot with you, giving you formulas, great insights. So try to make that a little bit bigger so that you can see it a little easier. I'm going to turn my big fuzzy hair off here and take it away, Tom.
All right, ready to go. All right, so, and I just got to make myself small. There we go. All right, so I thank you for giving me this opportunity, Colleen, and I do know a lot of the folks that are here, and my intention is to deliver something that you can take back with you to your business. So I am a trained coach. It's been something I've been doing for many years, actually before real estate in the restaurant business. And I formed a company called Everest Life Coaching. And the person that I mostly coach is real estate agents. But I've helped people in a lot of different areas, and relationships and life change transitions. So we're gonna talk about real estate today and how the coaching process might go. Now, when I say might go, is that a coach will meet the client right where they are. So sometimes I hear coaches that are dictating a path, and the client loses interest. So a good coach will meet the client where they are and help them self-discover a way forward to their goals. So with that, let me just use my PowerPoint here, and hopefully it changes. Let's see. Yeah, there we are. All right, so a question to ask yourself is, where are you now? All right, and we're going to talk a lot about this. So it's like, do you know what you want? All right, so in the terms of real estate, do you know how much you need in commission income? Do you know how many sales that you need? So it's do you know what you want? Do you know what you need? 2 different things too, and we're going to hit on that. And then, do you have a plan to get there? And then, are you stuck? So many times I come across a person who is stuck in some area, and this is the perfect time of the year. 2020 just ended, and 2021 is just starting, and it's like being unstuck right now would be a great place to be, so that you can just have everything happen the way you want it to happen. All right, so wherever you are, you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. So if things are going great, that's where you're supposed to be. If you're stuck, that's where you're supposed to be, and you will get what you want, by focusing on a way forward. All right, so I like this little quote here from Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And that's going to come up a few more times today in our discussion. Is what you focus on expands, or what you pay attention to is what shows up in your life. So if you're paying attention to things that you don't want, they're going to continue to be there. Pay attention to what you're interested in, what you want to take on, it will show up. So I love this quote. Probably a lot of you have already heard it. I heard it about 5 years ago, and it's something that I feel is very valuable to be aware of. All right, so let's talk about the real estate cycle, and it's a 90-day cycle, really. So from the time you list the property or you list a buyer on a representation plan, a contract, there's about 90 days from the time of that listing to the time that you're paid. And on average, what does it take to get a closed sale? So I'm going to go over these statistics here, and they come from years and years and years of analysis by coaching organizations. And some people will be way more efficient than this, but this is average. So it takes 12 conversations with a person, with people, people conversations to equal an opportunity. Sometimes people call the opportunity a lead. It takes 5 leads or 5 opportunities to get an appointment. This is on average. All right, so if you do the math, 5 times 12 is 60 conversations will equal an appointment. Now, you may say, I'm at 30 or I'm at 40, and that's where you are. And there's also other people that might say they're at 80 or 100, but on average, it's 60. And then it takes 2 appointments to have a closing. You don't always get the contract at the appointment, or if you do, it doesn't always sell or they don't always buy. So on average, 2 appointments will equal a closing. So doing the math, 2 times 5, 10. So it takes 10 leads, 10 opportunities for 1 closing. All right. Then if you do the math further, 120 conversations equals a closing. I have a good friend of mine who says the whole key to real estate is to meet the people. And that's what you do. You meet people all the time, have these conversations, and 120 of them is going to turn into a closing. Now, the reason why I even mentioned this at this point in the presentation is because it's going to be helpful as we go forward. So let's keep moving here. All right, so your success in anything, whether it's real estate, relationships, businesses, children, is going to come from habits that serve you. And I'll tell you, everything we do is a habit. So, just backing your car out of a garage is a habit. And, there's a lot to it. There's lining up the mirrors, there's turning the car on, there's checking the path, there's going down the driveway and staying off the grass, there's getting to the street and looking for cars. And you do that without even thinking about it because it's habitual. Well, there's habits all day long. In fact, we're just habit machines. We get up and we do the same thing. It's all habitual. So some habits serve you and some habits don't serve you. And a coach can help you create more that serve you and stop those that don't serve you. Now, I'll share a couple of books with you right now that are, if you're interested in this habit conversation, one's called The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habits. Recently read that book, love that book. And then the other one is Atomic Habits, and that one's getting a lot of accolades lately. I think the guy's last name was Clear, forget his first name. But both those books tell about the whole process of a habit, and it's very scientific. When we back our car out, we don't think of it, or when you do your lead gen in the morning, you don't think of it as being a habit and all the components of a habit, but it really is. And we could actually spend 30 minutes just on, or even an hour just on habits. So the point I want to make is there's habits that serve you and there's habits that don't serve you, and a real estate coach can help you. A life coach can help you. A friend can help you too. So what is coaching? So the coaching relationship is a partnership between you and the coach, or between the client and the coach, and the power is in this alliance. So we talk about the fast lane. So the fast lane is frustration. So we can be in a place of frustration in our jobs, a place of frustration in our relationships. Anxiety, sometimes people are very, very anxious about where they are, where the next sale's coming from. Did you do a lot of lead gen in November and December, or did you not do any, and now you're January and February, there's no closings? It's very common for me to come across people that don't have their first closing until March. So there could be a lot of anxiety there. Stress. Stress affects everything in your life, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. And then people just being tired and sick and tired of being tired. So what a coach can do is through a partnership and through an alliance, help you move forward. Now, what coaching is not therapy. So therapists, they work on the past and how you got to where you are. Coaching doesn't even really look at the past that much. Coaching looks at what you want, what your future is, and what you shall do to get to that future. Mentoring, somebody that's been there, done that, and they share little bits of information with you. And mentoring can be very valuable, but it's definitely different from coaching. And consulting would be someone who's definitely been there, done that, and will swoop in, provide some information, and swoop back out. And then, coaching is not a friendship. I mean, you don't hire a coach because you want a friend. You have friends. So there's two different. So these modalities are very different. All right. So the coaching process. This process is done by emotionally connecting your inner purpose and your passion to outer goals and strategies in order to bring about the result that you want. So what a coach will help you do, and this is whether it's life coaching, real estate coaching, it doesn't matter. They'll help you determine where you are now so that you can see where you are in that particular situation, and then help you determine where you want to be and where you need to be. And so often people aren't aware of that at all. In fact, that's a very common thing in real estate coaching. They don't know how many transactions they need to generate, and they don't know how to get there. So, and then another thing that a coach will do is keep you on track. So, coaching conversations initially start off with a lot of this, where are you now and where do you want to be? But then after that's been all established, which is usually 2 or 3 sessions, then it's all about staying on the track. Now, why would you hire a coach? So one reason, and people don't often think about this, is that everything is going great. You just want more great, right? That is a really good reason to have a coach. And I have a client in Florida that is just doing outstanding and just wants more outstanding. Another reason would be you're stuck. You didn't do any lead gen in November, you didn't do any lead gen in December, and there's no commissions on the horizon. That would be stuck. And some people just don't even know where to begin. It's like, where do I start? So it's like, that would be like stuck on steroids. Now, the type of coaching that I do is called core energy coaching. And everything begins with energy. And I'm sure you've heard this before, about energy. But the first thing that we do is, it's called an energy leadership index. And I'm going to show you a small part of that. And I'll show you an energetic self-perception chart in a second. But I want to talk about 2 types of energy: catabolic energy and anabolic energy. So we all are functioning in one or the other, or a combination of. So catabolic is a destructive type of energy. Somebody who's in a victim mentality would be in heavy catabolic energy. So it's destructive, it's not moving them forward, it's holding them back, it's pushing everything away. Anabolic energy would be a building up type of energy. People are attracted to you, listings show up at your door, things just happen because it's that building up force. So when I do coaching and many other coaches, we use energy, because if people are struggling, they're going to be in a catabolic energy state. When they're having successes, they're in anabolic. But the whole thing is, you don't even know that this even exists. So we have to distinguish it. So what we'll do is, when we do the energy leadership index, it's a 20-minute survey. You sit on your couch with your computer, and 20 minutes, you knock it out, and it will tell us where you are. And I'm going to show you a chart. it'll show you where you are in life and where you are when under stress with regard to energy. Now, this graphic may be a little bit small, but I'll just show you that inner circle, you can see it says victim and conflict. Those are the catabolic energies that I'm talking about. So a person might think their core thought is that they're at the effect of something, and that would be the victim energy, and that they're apathetic about their life, and lethargy would be the action that they take, which is basically doing nothing. It's being stuck. So people that are stuck are usually in this energy level 1. All right, and then moving up, conflict is this. You've heard people say, I get a lot done when I'm under stress. But there's also a lot of collateral damage when they do that. So you can have results in that conflict state, but usually it's not sustainable. And there's always anger associated with it and a defiance. And as we go up, and I'm not going to go into all of these because it'd be 30 to 45 minutes in and of itself. And I do have a presentation just for that. We could do some other time, Colleen. Now, as you go up, you can see, the core emotion and feeling for the number 3 level is forgiveness, and then compassion, but in that forgiveness level, there's a lot of settling, a lot of tolerating. So while it is the beginning of anabolic energy, there's still a mixture of catabolic energy in there. And, like for myself, I want to live it. It's hard to live in that energy level 7 where it's just an absolute passion, but I like to be in 5 and 6 in my life. And I bring this all up because after you distinguish these levels and you see where you're at, energy will be a choice, not a default. So let's go to the next screen. And we're looking at, when you do that energy level index, you will get a profile. And the top profile is your energetic profile on a good day. It's where you're functioning. And you can see this person here, their highest level was this level 5, but they had a lot of, level 6 and level 4. And when they went under stress, whether it was from, their job, something happened, a car breakdown, maybe their children, maybe their significant other, whatever it was, when they get into stress, they respond completely differently. You can see all that passion and all that joy becomes very diminished. And where does it go? It goes to the victim and the anger. So I don't want to spend too much time here on this, but when the point I want to make is when you can distinguish the energy that you're bringing to any situation, you can make it a choice to say, I want to stay there, I'm going to stay angry, or nope, I'm going to move somewhere else. And so we always talk about these levels after we're a few sessions into coaching. So I'm going to move on from here. And there's a saying that energy is everything, and that's all there's to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. And that's a lot like what Henry Ford said in that quote we looked at earlier. Now, it says further, it can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics. We are at our quantum level vibrating energy. So, sounds woo-woo a little bit, but once you start learning about how energy affects your life, you can start making choices, and that's the beautiful thing. And when people distinguish it, just incredible things happen for them. All right, so now, as a real estate coach, we've done the energy work. We know where we're vibrating in generally. We would perform what we call as a needs analysis. So this is a written form. I'm not going to show it to you because, again, this could be a 30-minute conversation too. But there are bullet points here. How much money do you need to run your household? So is that $40,000? Is that $50,000? Is it $100,000? You need, so how much does it run to pay the bills, put food on the table, pay the utilities, those kinds of things. And then how much money do you need to run your business? Are you paying for a CRM? Are you paying cap money to your office? Are you paying money to a internet advertising? We have a lot of expenses. So when you know the money that it takes to run your house, you can apply taxes to it. When you know what it takes to run your business, you can add those two together. And then the next one is, what are you saving for? So what are you saving for this year, and what are you saving for long term? So you would add up what it takes to run your house, what it takes to run your business, make sure taxes are factored in there, and then add to it, what are you saving for? So why do we do this? We do this to divide that last number, the total of all of this, by your average commission. And then we can determine how many transactions you need to make to have everything turn out. And when people do this needs analysis, they're amazed. It's like, oh, wow, I thought I could live off of 10 transactions, but I need 20. Or sometimes it's the other way around. I wanted to do 50, and I only need 15. And we also will apply, like if it's a husband and wife or two the significant others that are sharing the household, we'll also apply the other income to reduce the amount of transactions that you need. So we call that a needs analysis, and it's a written form. It doesn't take long to do, and it's very eye-opening. All right, the next thing we go to is what I call the effort required. And it's a reverse engineering that will tell you the type of effort you will have to take to do those transactions that you just identified in the needs analysis. So the questions that get revealed, and this is also a written document too, is how many seller listings do you need? How many buyer listings do you need? How many appointments do you need to get those listings? How many buyer appointments do you need to get those buyers? So we look at conversion rates. So if you list a property, what percentage of the time does it turn into a commission check? Rarely is it 100 for the whole year. Everybody has a seller that changed their mind or a listing that expired. It's good to be around 90%, but I'll often see 80%. And then the other factor we look at is, if you go on appointment, what percentage of those people sign a contract with you? If you go on 10 listing appointments, do you get 10 listings, or do you get 7, or do you get 5? New agents typically are around 4 or 5. Seasoned agents are 7 or 8. Rarely do you see somebody that's 100. So what does this do for you? This tells you how many conversations that you need to have. So we looked at that a little bit earlier, that it took 120 conversations to have a closing. Well, depending on how many closings you want and depending on your conversion rates, we can really fine tune what you need to do daily. So it's like, how many people you got to talk to? Like on my team, I want to have 25 listings that sell this year. All right. And that means I have to have 8 conversations every day using my conversion rates. There's an agent on the team that wants to have 45 closings this year, and she has to have, I think, 14 conversations on a daily basis. And if we have those conversations, everything just turns out. So we do a needs analysis, we determine the effort required, and then we create what I call the simple business plan. And the key to this is to keep it simple. In fact, keep all of this simple. We overcomplicate things. I was with a coaching organization that I felt overcomplicated things and went to areas where the client didn't want to go. And as I said earlier, you want to coach to the client. So simple business plan is critical. So you take all those things that you just identified in the 2 other documents, 2 other forms. You come up with your numbers. What's going to be your listings, sales, how many million, what's going to be your average sale price for buyers, how many listings you got to take, how many buyers you got to take, how many closings will there be? So it's just kind of like taking the last two forms and putting it in a one view document. All right, now the step 2 of that is to come up with goals. So just knowing that you want to do 30 closings doesn't, that's nice to know it, but how are you going to get there, right? So what are the appropriate actions? And that's a really key part of it, the appropriate actions that you need to take to make goal achievement happen. And a coach is not going to necessarily, like, I don't tell people what their actions should be, I help them self-discover what those actions are going to be, what they enjoy, what they like doing. So it's really different for everyone. But and we put these into writing, and we look at them on a yearly basis, and we look at it more hyper-focused. At the bottom of the screen it says make the action specific. So you want it to be so specific that an 8th grader could understand what the action is. You want to make it measurable so that it's really clear whether it happened or not. Whether at the end of the year, end of the month, end of the week, it's like there's no question whether that action was accomplished. And then realistic. So often in the coaching process, I would come across people that have an unrealistic goal. It's like impossible for them to get it. Like somebody that's doing 20 transactions this year, wanting to do 100 next year. Well, could be realistic as long as they take realistic efforts to match it. So that's part of the coaching conversation too. And then time bound. You can't have anything that doesn't have a start and an end. Okay, if you just say I'm going to make 50 conversations and you don't say it's this week or it's 8 today, you're just willy-nilly, you're all over the place. So you want to make it time bound. And then lastly, you see who. Well, if you're by yourself, then who is you? If you're on a team, some of these things might be divided up between different team members. All right, now the last part, I wouldn't say the last part, but once you know the simple business plan and the goals, the goals could be you're going to hold 2 events per year, you're going to do a pie giveaway at Thanksgiving, you're going to do 12 newsletters a year. That would be your goals. Then you need a focused activity plan, all right? And that is what will guide you now. The goals are more longer range and the activity plan is now. So I want to share a couple of thoughts here. So I'm sure everybody's heard of the 80-20 principle or the 20-80 principle. It's also known as the Pareto principle. And what that says is that 80% of your results will come from 20% of your effort or 20% of your activity. Or you could say 20% of your activities or efforts will give you 80% of your results. That's really important to know, because what that tells you is that you want to know what your 20% is. And the things that aren't in that 20%, you probably don't want to do it. Now, widget mentality. So everything doesn't matter equally, and people don't get that sometimes. But I'm going to give you an example. I may have 20 things on my to-do list for this week, and I may do 18 of them, or it could be today I'm going to do 18 of them. But I don't do the 2 that mattered the most. Well, how successful was that day? So it's really critical that your coach or you determine the activities that make a difference, that matter, and those are the things that you take on. You've heard, I think there's a saying out there about eating the big frog first, or probably saying that wrong, or put the big rocks into the jug first. That's another one that's out there. But it's all based off this 80-20 principle. So the widget mentality is just doing things that don't matter. So we want to do things that matter. The focused activity plan provides clarity. It's like crystal clear what I'm doing today, what I'm doing this week. It's action-based. It's not result-based. Whenever you have an activity that you're going to do, if it sounds like a result, like I'm going to get 3 appointments this week, all right, the question you want to ask yourself is, what is something that I can do that will have that happen? And then it turns that result into an action. And it might be make those 10 contacts per day. And then when things are vague, like a lot of people will create actions that are really vague. Like I saw one the other day, vegan. This person is working on their health, and they want to be, they want to, take their vegan to a new level. So I asked the question, how will you know you succeeded? And then it became unvague. So these are really keys right here, keeping it results oriented and keeping it so that it's not vague and that it's very, very clear. So that's what a focus activity plan does for you. A part of the plan will be time blocking. So, if you're running willy-nilly, you don't know what you're doing when. So time blocking is so critical. So like my team, every one of them right now is doing lead generation, because from 8:30 to noon we're doing lead generation. Some of them it's 11, but it's a 2.5 to 3 hour time period. Where they're lead gen, and they don't do anything else during lead gen. And we'll talk about how to make sure that that happens. And then appointments, like I time block blank appointments in my week. So I got a blank appointment for a listing on Tuesday and on Thursday at 5:30. Okay. And if I don't fill that appointment, it becomes lead gen. So kind of acting, conducting my business like a doctor would. They don't say, when would you like to come for an appointment? They say, here's what I have available. So time blocking is really, really critical. And again, we could talk about time blocking and the power of that for a half hour. Simplicity. It's keeping things simple is so important. And and it might even sound right now that this seems a little bit complicated. But what you do with the needs analysis, that's a one-time thing that you do, and you can adjust it. And then the required effort, generally a one-time thing. It's planning, right? And then the simple business plan, steps 1 and 2, right? Then the focus activity plan. That's the thing that you'll be constantly manipulating. The other ones are kind of like one time. So keeping it simple is really, really critical. And as a coach, that's something that I will look at all the time. Accountability partner. So your coach could be an accountability partner, but I suggest that you all get accountability partners. Okay. Now I have an accountability partner, and my accountability partner doesn't even do real estate, and she is a coach, but she also has a business in helping chambers of commerces around the country and other nonprofits, who can't afford, human resources and other departments run their operation. So she's my accountability partner, and we meet every Monday morning at 7:30 on Zoom for 30 minutes. And sometimes throughout the week we meet, or we talk or text, and the whole thing, that accountability partner, and what you want to look for is someone who cares, someone who's not doing it to just be an accountability partner, but they care about you. They own your goals as much as you own your goals. So Julie is my partner. She really wants me to make my 10 contacts every day. And she checks in on it, and she takes a stand for my greatness. So if you're looking for an accountability partner, if they can't check those boxes, keep looking. And it doesn't need to be a huge effort, and usually in an office, there's always someone that would want to be accountability partner. All right, distractions. Okay, so during, like, for me, I'm going to speak for myself. Lead gen is from 8:30. I'm missing it now, right? 8:30 to noon, and I am constantly distracted by lead gen, or by other things in my lead gen. And I wrote down the things that distract me, and these are also the things that distract everybody that I coach. And the first one's email. So if you sent me an email right now, you would get an autoresponder back that would said that I check my email between 12 and 1 and 5 and 5:30 daily. Now I may check it outside of those hours, but there's nothing that really can come through email that I must attend to this moment. Like I'm getting emails right now, I have no idea what they are, and it doesn't matter. So if email is something that's distracting you, set up an autoresponder, send me an email, tom@lipinskiteam.com. That'd be the one for you to send it to. I'm going to give you a different email later. All right, and you'll see that autoresponder. Turn your email off. If you're doing lead gen, just turn it straight off. Texting's another thing that distracts people. I had an agent that got a second cell phone that didn't have text on it, and that's what she used for her lead gen so that she wasn't getting bombarded. Another thing, I didn't put it on here, is turn off all the notifications. I have an Apple Watch, turned everything off on there. I turn off the only thing that I haven't turned off yet is on my computer, these little email things that shoot through, and I'm going to turn those off. It's like I know to check. So people are another distraction, and they need to be trained. So you need to train, if you're working from home, you might need to train your children, you might need to train your spouse, you might need to train a roommate. If you're in an office, you might need to train an assistant, you might need to train the people that are there, and let them know that during those hours that you're lead generating, you're not available. And then the widget mentality, there it is again. I've got 20 things to do, but are they the important things? Bunker. The bunker is where you do your lead gen, where you do your work. All right. So it doesn't matter if you're a real estate agent, you're an insurance agent, you're somewhere, you're in the business of lead generation first, and then whatever business second. So you need a bunker where you're protected. So I didn't really get what a bunker was until I did a seminar, a webinar a couple of months ago, and the person trained me to insulate myself, and he said, if you're going to need food, get the food nearby your bunker. And for me, I live alone, so it was really easy to keep things quiet, but I'd have my window open here and I'd see the mailman come up, I'd see cars go by. So I closed the shades and then I'd have my coffee and tea ready to go. So I had a bunker that was conducive to my lead gen. So that really works. And then the last one, yes. A lot of people, and I'm one of them, guilty as charged, I say yes to way too many things. And when you say yes to everything, you're really saying no to everything, because you just can't pay attention to it all and do it all good. Some of you, if you know me really well, a few years ago, I was on the board of directors for the Grosse Pointe board. I was a trainer at my office. I was running a networking group. I was doing coaching for that organization we talked about earlier, running my real estate team. I said yes to everything, and I started finding myself doing everything half-assed. So if you want to be skilled at any one thing, really say yes to only something that's going to move you forward, and say no to those things that won't. And learn how to say no so that it's, someone understands it's not just a flat out no, that you don't care about them, but that there's a good reason for the no. Okay, we're going to talk about creating a budget. So that's another thing that's critical running a business. Now, it's not for everybody, although I say here you must have a profit and loss statement, but there are some agents and some people that I'll coach where it might not be the appropriate thing. But if you're in real estate and you're looking to run a healthy business, a budget is critical to know how much money you plan on spending on lead gen, how much money you plan on spending on salaries, how much money you plan on spending on rent, how much money you plan on spending on education, how much money you plan on spending on travel, on your auto, on insurance. And you need to know those things. Now, I have a bookkeeper. I put here, hire it out and use the time saved. So I have a bookkeeper. A bookkeeper will be anywhere from $100 a month, to maybe $500 a month. I pay $300 a month. So it's $3,600 a year. But the time that's saved by having a bookkeeper and the time and the ability to read really actionable reports and to stay on top of my budget is invaluable. So again, depending where you're at, I think it's very important to have a profit and loss statement and have a budget. And a coach can help with that too. All right, now some of you are on teams. So teams, you need to know who you want to get alongside of you to get the job done. So like for myself, my real estate, the agents that I work with, it's not like they work for me. We work together. We're empire builders together. So you want to be looking for people that, think along those lines, think along what's important to you. So not going to get too in depth in this, but you want to have a job description for every position. So I know, and I'll even step back. I know an agent in Idaho Springs. He does 150 transactions a year by himself with 1.5 admin people. Okay, so he has a team. And then some of us don't have teams, but you probably do have a team if you look at the office, the help in your office, the front desk person, the leadership. So you have a team in some way, shape, or form. Now, here's the job description of an agent. You want to have a job description for every person on the team. So whether it's your executive assistant, the transaction coordinator, inside sales agent, everybody should have a job description. But for a real estate agent, it's lead generation, number one. Lead follow-up, two very different things. Lead generation is generating new business through conversation. Lead follow-up is, the leads that you previously generated, staying in touch with them. Buyer and seller listing appointments. Lead generation creates those. Script practice and role play. Colleen talked about that earlier. My team and I, we've been doing daily script practice since 2015, actually maybe end of 2014. 5 days a week. We spend 30 minutes at 8 a.m. We did it at 7:30, but we moved it. But we do it at 8 a.m. We used to do it in person. Now we do it on Zoom. And we just practice our listing presentation, our buyer presentation, talking to FSBOs, talking to expires, sign calls, ad calls, getting a price reduction, and it's like, you may have heard the 10,000 hour rule that was made famous by Anders Ericsson. He wrote the book called Peak. He talks about doing something for 10,000 hours to be a master of it. Now, I don't know if we're at 10,000 hours, probably not, but we are definitely masters of it. And I would take anybody on the team and put them up against anybody in a script off. And I will tell you, yourself, put that in somewhere. Try to do it daily. If you can't do it daily, do it weekly, do it twice weekly. And then lastly, negotiating purchase contracts. That's what we do. Flight plan, I talked about that a little bit earlier. It's basically your time blocks, what you do when. Training plans, for yourself. If you're just by yourself, you might call it a growth plan, and you plan out a whole year, the different things you're gonna do, the books you're gonna read, the seminars you're gonna go to, the in-person events you're gonna go to. If you have a team like I have, you'll have a training plan for an agent, training plan for an inside sales agent, training plan for executive assistant. And it's basically like a 30 day at a time plan, and it goes for 90 days. So, you have certain things to accomplish in 30 days, and then you do a review. And then if they've earned the right to go another 30 days, they move on and they have another 30 days of training plan and review, and then another earning the right. And then after 90 days, your person, whether they're their executive assistant or an agent, should be pretty well-rounded and functioning on their own. I also believe everyone should have minimum standards, and that's even if you're a single agent. If you're a single agent or on a team, it's like, what are your minimum standards? Like for us, I'll give you an example. We do dress rehearsals before every closing with our clients. And it's basically a review of the financial statement and the important documents. So that's just one of our standards. I'm not telling you to make that your standard, but it's an idea, have some things that you always do. Procedure manuals, everything in writing. You know, if you're on a team, for sure. If you're a single agent, maybe you don't need it as much. Some essentials. So who is your audience is critical. So the audience is those people, a lot of people call it, they're the ones in your database, but it's the ones that you're reaching out to on a regular basis. So it could be email, it could be regular mail, it could be social media. So who is your audience? And an audience is critical too to this business because, if you're working your audience right, you can generate 10% of business from your audience. So if you have 1,000 people in the audience, you should be able to do 100 transactions. And what if you only did 50 transactions? Most people would be ecstatic with that. So a coach will help you, manage the audience or manage the database. And that's what basically your CRM is. So using a CRM is your customer relation manager, right? So the CRM that I use is Brivity. If you're with Keller Williams, you use Command. If you're with another company, it might be Wise Agent, Realty Juggler. There's about 30 of them out there, and there's not any one that's better than the other. It's just the one that you use that you like is the best CRM. So again, something we could talk about. All right, ways to generate an audience. I'm going to speed up here because of time, but none of this has really changed. I mean, this has been around for the 100 years that MiRealSource has been around, except maybe the technology part of it, which is the social media. That's just really the last 10 years. But what we do today is the same we were doing for the most part when I got in the business, door knocking, farming, you can buy leads, right? You can pay for them on Zillow. You can pay, I do a lot of pay-per-click on Google and Facebook. So there's lots of ways to generate that audience. And then once the audience is generated, they're in your CRM and you're touching them on a regular basis. Now, a coach will help you find your way. Sometimes you're stuck, sometimes you need a nudge, and sometimes you need to get pushed out the door. And whatever it is, the coach, like I said earlier, is going to meet you where you are at. So a coach will always see your greatness. Each coaching session will address areas. So this is once you get past the planning stage, they'll address the areas that you identify, not the coach. You identify it, which aren't working the way you want them to, and help you find a way forward to move things the way you want. And I'm going to say energy is going to be so huge in this, because when people are stuck, they're usually in that victim or that anger energy level, and even that energy level 3. But when they can see, oh wow, I'm in a victim mode, and no, I'm not committed to that, and I want to be in a win-win mode, I'm going to get to that energy level 5, and here's what I'm going to need to do to get there. So that's usually where the conversation heads. A skilled coach will help you see what you cannot. So I call those blind spots. So a coach helps you see what you cannot so that change can occur. When you distinguish something that you don't see, beautiful things can happen, and that's where the power of coaching lies. So is coaching right for you? And I definitely hear talking about Everest Life Coaching, but is coaching right for you? There's lots of coaching organizations out there. There's coaches in every office usually. There's Tom Ferry. There's other companies out there. If you're with Keller Williams, there's MAPS Coaching. So is coaching right for you? So with that, and I'll be glad to have a conversation. Colleen's going to talk about a little survey that you can take to see if coaching is something that would be right for you, and I'm definitely available for questions.
So, and I think you can probably see Tom's information is right down here. It's also going to be emailed on the survey that is coming out directly after our show today. So you'll receive a survey. It's going to give you information about is coaching right for you. And again, to reach you directly, Tom, you want to give them your phone number just in case they're not looking at their screen.
I don't know if is my screen still showing?
It is. It is.
Yeah, at the bottom, there's 2 ways to reach me, 586-246-6606. I'll always return a call, I'll always return a text, and I'll answer your questions. And you know what, and I really wanted this to be, not so much promoting coaching, although I believe in the product of coaching highly, but also things you can do in your business. So if you have a question about the needs analysis or a question about the simple business plan, I'd certainly be welcome to spend some time with you on that. I've talked with many people, even on Zoom sessions for hours where they're not paying me to be their coach, just to support them. And then the other way is kwcoachtom@gmail.com. And you can also reach me at my business email, tom@lipinskiteam.com.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for all. I picked up so much. I've been taking notes this whole time. I love that you gave the formulas. Not only did you give them great advice, but you really gave them a lot of the keys that if they implement them are really simple to do and can really take them far. So it's a great way to start off 2021. I can't thank you enough. And we always do a prize, so I am going to throw out one prize really quickly here. I know we're right at the end on time here, so I am going to give away the book that Tom referenced. Let me make sure you can see that here. The Atomic Habits. So Tom referenced, this is one of his favorite books. I thought this would be a really good giveaway. So for the first person who puts into the questions box, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're bringing on some new data sharing partners. They're exclusive to MiRealSource. The one that's going to be starting March 1st, if you can give me the name of our newest, I should say our second newest, because they'll actually be going live March 1st. If you know the name of the Board of Realtor, I'll give you a little hint. If you know the name going live on March 1st and you type it in the questions box, then we're going to give you a copy of the book Atomic Habits that Tom just referenced. All right, so let me jump over to the questions box and see if anybody got it.
Am I able to see the question? Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Yep, actually, if you open it up. So again, we're looking for the name of the board that just is going live on March 1st. So we've signed a few. We signed the Upper Peninsula, and yes, that is going to be at the end of the year. We'll be giving you all the details about that one. We're mapping in the data. Northern Great Lakes is already live, but if you know the name of the board that is going to be going live with their data, giving you more data, and Ed, yes, Ed Brittingham, you got it. I think Ed won one of our previous Mixing It Up as well. So congratulations, Ed. I actually already have your address, so that's perfect. I will go ahead and actually send that out to you.
What's the name of the agency?
It is the Claire Gladwin Board of Realtors, and that is going to give you a lot more data. We've only got one little section left that we're trying to fill in for you, and then you'll have 100% of data sharing in the state, meaning that you can take a listing and see information on listings from coast to coast. We've also got some new exciting things that we're going to be showing you coming up that are going to give you advantages that they can't, even consumers can't find on syndicated sites. So you, the agent, will have more information, listings, again, coast to coast, and additional pieces that they won't be able to get on, sites like, well, many of the syndicated sites that you're familiar with. So thank you again for attending our Mixing It Up. Thank you, Tom, for all of the great information. There will be a survey coming out. Again, it will have Tom's information on the survey. It'll tell you a little bit more, is coaching right for you? So watch for that and fill it out for us. All right. Thanks again, Tom.
Yep,
bye,
I
everybody.
enjoyed it. Thank you.
Happy 2021. We'll see you very soon.